Now the images that are hard to forget. It was 5 years ago when a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck parts of Japan, causing a devastating tsunami that left so much of the country in ruins, thousands killed. Well, we know the Cascadia subduction zone right off the Oregon coast could trigger a similar event. So what have we learned from the tragedy in Japan to help us prepare? Tim Becker looking into that. He joins us live with more. Tim?
Jeff, good afternoon. I would like you and everybody else to take a look at downtown Portland here behind me, because we do have a lot of new buildings out here that are earthquake ready, but most of what you are looking at was built before we knew Cascadia was a factor. That disaster in Japan has been a major wake-up call to us here, and it's helping us now learn more about how to prepare for when the big one hits and how to deal with the aftermath. The violent shaking and dramatic, disastrous tsunami that followed in Japan was set off by movement between tectonic plates similar to the Cascadia subduction zone just off of the west coast.
The Cascadia subduction zone is estimated to be the single greatest natural threat facing the United States.
Dr. Scott Ashford, who testified before Congress last year and documented liquefaction of the land in Japan after the quake, tells me what happened 5 years ago now has us bracing for a major quake here. So in recent years, we have learned much more about what could happen.
If you look at the Willamette Valley, you're looking at power being out for 1 to 3 months.
He says our biggest challenge is our aging infrastructure, bridges, buildings, and pipelines.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Which is why Congressman Peter DeFazio and other lawmakers are now working to create successful preparedness and resiliency plans. Last year, the state approved $200 million to help retrofit schools. Coastal towns are now ramping up emergency drills, and agencies are working to reduce downtime when it happens.
And a lot of the utilities, the lifeline providers are all engaged, really actively preparing for this Cascadia event.
Ashford tells me the single biggest lesson learned from across the Pacific Ocean is to have detailed plans on how to bounce back.
And there's still many people living in temporary housing, trying to make decisions on where and how to rebuild.
There heads up the Cascadia Lifelines program at Oregon State University. Its sole purpose is improving infrastructure performance while a big earthquake is happening. Also later this year, another thing that's going on, the governor going to be appointing a chief resilience officer to oversee all the planning for earthquake preparedness statewide. Live in downtown Portland, Tim Becker, KOIN 6 News.